You put that thing down. You got to hold it. Wouldn't hold it if you used to. Yeah, like here's the shit.
Quiet on the set.
Quiet on the set.
Grand Rising, Elizabeth. Thank you for joining us this morning. At 9 a.m., we will close our social media and continue on Zoom only. Join us by getting your Zoom link at elizabethvisionaryconference.org. We'll be there until 10 a.m. You can join us now, and we'll see you in the Elizabeth Zoom room. Today, your hosts are Mama Ayaba Bay and Mama Hawa Asaseya. Enjoy.
Grand Rising, everybody.
Woo!
Get up with the sun. Get your body hip to hop and get on the run.
On the road with mamas.
We are on the roads, the mama road. I'm telling you, this is, you got me doing, every time I turn around, you got me doing something I ain't never done before. Star, what's up, Star?
I want to say how glad I was that everybody came this weekend to Detroit, that all the Elizabeths can get together and meet each other and see each other and hug each other and sing together and eat and just, it was wonderful. Thank you guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
It was wonderful for us too. Thank all of you. Thank all of us. Thank Mama Dooney jumping all on somebody trying to wrestle somebody down. She thought she was at the World Wrestling event. For the women. The WW for the women. Anyhow, anywho. This early day, this rising of the sun day, we are on the road, and I'm going to start us off with something called the 12 major tests of life. Can y'all hear me well? Because I don't know.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
This comes from the Yoruba temple I used to live in Florida. So I'm going to read you each of the age groupings and what we're expected to learn, to know, and to achieve in each of those age groupings. Anyone wants to comment, ask a question, discuss each group, then I will pause at the end of each. So the first one, 12 major tests of life, opposing the generosity and the benevolence of Obatala. Obatala in the Yoruba pantheon is the creator of the bodies. One of his taboos is never to drink liquor. But after he created the bodies, he was so happy that he drank some plum wine and fell out. And while he was out, the bodies were continuing to manifest. How we got people who had disabilities because he was not paying attention to his work, what he was supposed to do. So they say that Obatala is the stern Saturnine taskmaster god, Babalua Ye, who comes at the end of the year during the winter season. And the way they serve Babalua Ye in the Yoruba system is to put out all the grains, oats, rice, quinoa, millet, that type of thing, that energy, to serve that energy. So here we go. Life is a series of very difficult tests. From beginning to end, there are a series of oppositions and squaring off which our ancient ancestors calculated would take place every 7 years. In order to prepare young people for the long, arduous journey through life, their parents and social leaders put them through some very, very stern disciplines, for they knew that a powerfully disciplined mind can stand up and face the shocks, the grinds, the trials, and outrages of life without giving up or attempting to disguise oneself through drugs, narcotics, or alcohol. As you approach the age 7, first of all, from birth to 7, the mother is taking care of the child. However, as you approach the 7th year, you begin your first conscious test, the maternal test, during which for the next 7 years, your mother would begin to attempt, with the assistance of your father, to train you to respond to commands. I'm sure everybody has a child knows that cycle, because you be telling them, don't eat that, don't touch that, put that down, sit down, tie up your shoes, wash your face. You having just awakened to the fact that you could accept or reject the commands, meaning the child awakens to the fact that either they can do what you say or not do what you say. If you considered them unpleasant, you began to clash with your parents. If you succeeded in and lies, and you got away more than she got hers, you failed the first test of life. It was your parents' fault. They did not understand discipline, and you were off to a poor start in life. I'm sure that you all know some people who are parent their children and charge you if you tell them, look, child, you need to go over there and sit down and be quiet. And the parent might jump in and say, she's not doing nothing. She ain't heard nothing. She ain't harming nothing. So anybody want to have a comment on that part? The first 7 years. Okay, then we'll move on to the next, which is called the paternal test. The first one was the maternal. In many cultures in Africa, when a male child reaches 7, then he spends less time with his mom and more time with the men in the village, so he can learn what being a man is about. The reason they start at 7 is because the child has to be disciplined enough to understand how to follow instructions, how not to wet on himself or pass, any type of waste out of his body, like bowel movements. He's got to know how to take care of himself by that time. So as you approach the age 7, the paternal test began as you approach 14 years old. Am I right? Am I jumping? Whether you had a father or not, the taskmaster God tested you with your household works and chores and learning of a very basic nature. Simple things like making up your bed, lining up your shoes, hang up clothes. If your parents and teachers forced you to attend to your duties and your classes, you passed this 7-year period. If both you and them let you slide, you failed it, and you were terribly unprepared for the third cycle, which was the test of peers. Why is this important? Why am I sharing this with y'all? To understand, as the Rasta man says, that there's an order to life. And when we miss any of these cycles, that's why many of us in America are still working on those years after we get older. So the next test is around 21 years. It's called the test of peers. It requires you to get along with your own generation. if you could not keep up with it physically or intellectually, if you backed out of everything with clever subterfuges, if you were a loner, if you were trying to get something for nothing, if you ducked too many responsibilities placed in your path, you blew it. Chances are you failed the first two. You were bound to fail this one. Anybody comment? Anybody got anything they want to add or share?
Did you say that it was that starts at 21 or it's a span of 21 years?
Oh no, around the age 21, you
Uh-huh.
have your test of peers,
Yeah.
which requires you to get along with your, your own age group. But if you could not keep up physically or intellectually, if you backed out of everything with clever subterfuges, if you were a loner, if you were trying to get something for nothing, I can think of my own nephews and the stuff they tried to pull. If you ducked too many responsibilities placed in your path, you blew it. Like one time, my great nephew stole my car. His attitude was, well, the keys were lying there. I said, boy, are you crazy? And he said, no, I didn't hurt the car. It's like, it's hard for me to take it. I didn't wreck it. I didn't damage it. You my aunt. I'm trying to figure out what kind of logic was that.
Right.
Yeah.
So is it every 7 years? Because you said 7 and then there's no 14 and then 21.
Yes. 1 to 7, birth to 7 to 14, 14 to 21.
Okay.
Then now we're gonna go to 28. A very, very crucial time in our lives is the year 28. And even though they are saying age 21, age 14, these are cycles. So it might not hit you at that particular age, but it'll hit you during that cycle. So from 21 to 28, that's the self-test. It's the one where you approach 28 years and begin to wonder just what you should do with your life. You ever talk to, or even yourself, you ever talk to a young person in that age group between 21 and 28, and you ask them, well, what you doing? What you gonna do? Like, oh, I'm trying to get myself together. So it began to wonder just what you should do with your life. Soul people, meaning I'm trying to find myself. Those who have accepted the disciplines of the previous stages will be able to apply the course they may be. The undisciplined will be impatient and give up. My nephews again, they will switch from one aspiration to another because all of them seem to take too long or require too much concentration and devotion, or they will sham and deceive. They will become phonies or charlatans. Now, in my situation, I can use my own self as an example. My nephews, they went out in the world and tried this and tried that. And then they thought they could get out in the world and sell this and sell that. And they soon found that the Saturnian cycle, which is in the every 28 years, hit them like a bomb. And Saturn is like your karma cycle. It sets up the rule of you get what you put out. It's also that 28 years is if you did not do what your ancestors kind of prescribed to you, like in your thoughts, if you broke the rules, so to speak, then the karmic cycle will eat you up. That's the year that a lot of young people go to jail. Between that period, between 21 and 28, 28 and 32, 33. So if they didn't pass those tests, they will find themselves paying a high karmic debt. So that's why we want to get our children lined up from day one, so that by the time they get to 28, their karmic pay will not be negativity, but will be positive things will come out of their life. Anybody want to comment on that?
I just want to go back. 14 to 21 is like the initiation cycle that prepares you to get out into the world. And if you missed it, then it's like the next cycle become, what should I say?
You're breaking up. You're breaking up.
Become hard to maintain because you haven't gotten
To the next one. So now we're getting, I'm breaking up. Did you hear what Hawa said? Did you hear Mama Hawa when she was talking?
No,
Did I break up all the
not all
way?
of it.
Huh?
Not all of it.
She was talking right soft and sexy.
I'm drained right now.
She's drained right now.
Well, no, it wasn't
Hear
her
what I
at all.
said.
It was the sound.
Or repeat what I said.
It was a sound. Okay.
Just repeat it, please.
Repeat it
She
again.
said repeat it.
Okay. During the cycle from 14 to 21, it is like an initiation, a preparation to step out into the world. And when you don't get it then, you struggle. 21 going forward is like you still in that 14 to 21 cycle. You haven't passed the test. And you're stuck in that cycle, even though your age has, increased.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Somebody came up with the phrase "man child" for that group of people. Go ahead, sis.
Yeah, it's like you can't skip it.
Nope.
So like Mama I was saying, you still have to go through it because it's part of the maturity. And I guess that's why they say with some people, she's this age, but she really mentally she's this age, another different age, younger.
Right.
In some societies of Africa, it's like their initiation, their rites of passage. And if they don't if they don't pass it, well, really it's left up to the elders to say, you have passed, you can move on. If not, you're stuck in that cycle until you get it. It's almost like going to school and you fail and you have to repeat a grade. But see, life don't say, hey, you failed, you got to go back. You go on, you can be 50 years old and your cycle's still stuck in 714 or 21, 28.
Yeah.
so what are some of the things
I
you
wish
can
I could
do?
hang with y'all more, but I'm navigating. I'm the pilot right now.
That's right.
Okay. What did you say, sis?
So what are some of the things you can do to because my grandson is 11. What are some of the things I could do to help prepare him to navigate the 14 through 21?
Well, you say he's 11. Well, how is he doing with following commands? Does he try to get around the work that he's supposed to do? Does he try to have excuses or plant little thoughts in your mind and make you think you shouldn't be giving him all of that work to do?
Yeah, he does that because he does. Yeah, I tend to be a drill sergeant. It's like, well, it seems like he's not able to process more than one task at a time. And
that's all right.
He'll get into his video games and I forgot, and if I keep reminding him, he said, okay. If I keep saying it, he said, why do you keep saying it? I said, because I feel it needs to be reiterated so that you get, I need you to do something. So, I mean, it's like, like if I tell him to do something, it's like I'm interrupting him. Like if he's Yeah, he needs to do one thing at a time, but I try to, it's like all these steps he knows he needs to do, like before he gets ready for school. But it's like, I don't know. He's gotten better. He's gotten a lot better. But it's still, I have to tell him to do one thing at a time, because if I tell him more than one thing, he'll forget one of the things. Or
Okay, in
several.
the United States of America and the world we live in today, those video games and cell phones and all those things, they are a tool of, they're hypnotic tools. They're a hypnotic tool. And when I was teaching in school, when I was a school teacher down in North Carolina, I had students, male more than female, call the parents in, because as an artist, I always use art as a way for myself to assess my students. So when I see a student drawing a picture of a guy holding a head and blood is dripping out of it, and he's holding a knife in another hand, parents got to come in. Then another brother, little brother, he did Men in Black, and everything he painted, everybody wore black. I called them in. Well, it turns out that the boy who painted all the black all the time, I said to the parents, y'all letting this boy look at the computer all day and all night, don't you? And the mama, of course, is the first one to go defensive. And she says, no, we cut it off when he goes to bed. I said, is the computer in his room? And she said, and the father said, yes, in his room. I said, well, you think he really go to bed? He gets up and turns that thing on and looks at it half the night. So they out of his room. Oh, and they took him to see Men in Black. I said, he's 6 years old. Why would you take him to go see Men in Black? And you know that you got to separate your adult activities from him. He's not an adult. He cannot process all of that stuff. So anyway, long story short, the minister in their church commented on his improved behavior, because once they did that, now when they took him to church, instead of being fidgety, he sat there like he's supposed to sit, and he used to play the violin. Invited him to come up to the front of the church and play his violin. See, his attention was on the thing that would cause his brain not to respond positively to commands. That whole video game thing was also a technique that they used in the army to train the soldiers to do combat without remorse. So you all are not just, you're trained. And in that training, it's an opposition to you.
Oh, okay. I'm breaking up and frozen now.
So I'm telling you that as a background for when I deal with the children today. You in a video game, put down the remote to the TV. This is my time with you. You can tell them stories where they got to figure out the analysis, tell them stories about the family. See, you can't just tell these children today what to do. You got to make them understand being a part of the process. You have to sit them down and take the time to what we would deal with the dogs and the puppies. It takes a lot of your time and it takes your energy too. But it's better than the negative energy where you got to always be scolding them and begging them. You let them know right away. I don't beg you do nothing. Go ahead, put that book down. Put that what's that thing? The remote control down. Put it down right now. You can either put it down on your own, or I'll unplug the TV. Which one you want?
Yeah, Mama, you guys are
Give them
yeah, it's really breaking up.
choices.
It's breaking up really, really bad.
Otherwise, they're gonna grow up handicapped mentally. Well, we're running through the country.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Mountain.
figuring. Mm-hmm.
Maybe I should talk slower.
Well, I don't know. You have to use more sign language. You might have to. Now you're frozen, Mama. I don't know if you can hear us.
Greetings, greetings.
Yes.
I've been listening and I just wanted to comment since we have this break. Oh, is she back?
Okay.
It's better, Mama. I think.
Yeah.
Is it better?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. The sister with the 11-year-old grandson. Did you hear, or do I need to repeat?
I heard that I need to spend more time with him off the computer and off the video game and off the TV. Yeah, he's with his dad for the summer, but yeah, he'll be coming back here soon, and school will start up. So, yeah.
Okay, so you need, while he's gone, think in your mind what activities you need to do with him in order to get the results you're looking for. It can be reading, drawing, walking, learning songs, learning how to build something.
What activities you're doing as well. I'm in the garden. You come in and get in the garden too. I'm working on this car. You're going to come and sit here with me too. Take him to work with you. It don't have to mean
She makes things.
I'm just using that as an example. It doesn't mean to go to a job, but take him to work with you. What are you doing? Involve him in what you're doing too. Like she make things, have him to make things too. Or have it set up where this is his project too.
You hear that?
Yes.
Yeah. And he'll discover things about himself that he doesn't know right now, which will which will inspire him.
My grandson, 10 years old, I go to yoga, he go to yoga. Grumbled in the beginning, stayed in the background, but before you know it, he was doing little poses and things too. I work in the garden, I work on this farm. I took him too. He grumbled, set aside, didn't want to be there, but after a while, he started pulling the weeds. He started asking questions too. I took him to my art class. He didn't want to be there. That's okay. He sat in the back of the art room. Next thing you know, he's moving up further. He's becoming more and more interested. It's almost like you gotta keep them busy before they keep you busy. I'm trying to think what else.
That's the initiation process. That's one of the most important elements of our culture that has been pushed aside from living this lifestyle in the United States of America. Yeah, so it's the initiation process. I used to do initiation when I lived in Florida, and of course I had a little older guy. He was more like 12 or 13, but he was practiced the Akan culture. But one of the first things he had to do for me, he had to get up at 6 in the morning and study the book of Proverbs. He could choose any one he wanted, and then he had to write on it. And then when he finished with the writing and the group came back together, he had to present it and say why he chose those particular Proverbs and how he's going to apply them to his life. So at first, like since I would say, at first they give you some resistance, but you the hammer in the house.
There you go.
You got to do what you say do.
And I do believe in rewards. I don't want them to feel like it's punishment. I'm just letting them know that, this is your reward or not. And he does. He look for, and meaning reward is like, now what do you want to do? That's your reward. Um, that's it.
You got that?
Yes.
I said if you can raise a dog, you can raise a kid. That's that was my philosophy when I first had my little girl, my daughter, and I realized that my father had taught me how to train the dogs. And I said, a child is smarter than a dog. So I began to apply those principles. When I said, sit down, sit down. When I said, come here, come here. And like I shared with you all the other day, in some African cultures, in all the African cultures, really, children can't just bust in the room and start talking. Each one has a different way that they deal with it. For example, I taught my daughter what the Yoruba people did, and that is the child will come to the doorway and make either they'll get on one knee or they'll bend over slightly and tap their two hands together 3 times. That alerts the adult that this child wants to speak. And if the adult is in the middle of a conversation, they'll keep talking. Not to be rude, but the child also has to learn what? Patience. Mm-hmm. They have to have control over their own emotions. And this was one of the ways that was integrated into the community process to help them learn that. So then the adult will recognize the child and say, yes, so and so and so, enter, come in, whatever the word they would use to let the child know it was okay to come in. Another rule they have in African culture, a child cannot stand above your head. You are the wisdom. You sending knowledge down to that child. So it's not just words, it's also actions and deeds. So the child learns humility. He learns that he don't stand on top. So how do they stay beneath your head? In culture, they sit on the floor while you talk. In our system, maybe you devise something else, and maybe you're sitting at the dining room table and he has to sit on the stool. Whatever it is, he learns or she learns that the wisdom is coming from above, down into their ears and into their head. And one day they'll have a kid, and the kid got to sit below them. But right now, they sitting down below you.
What I notice is that the young is involved in grown folks' conversation. When I grew up, the children is like grown folks talking, y'all gone. It's a time and a place for everything. Nowadays, the child sit there and listen to you talk about everything and from one spectrum to another. And it's a place for them. So their mind can stay in the cycle of that learning cycle without bringing in things of an adult. You haven't got there yet. It is not for you yet. But we live in a society that we watch other people and we follow their ways and we wonder why our child is cutting up.
Wow.
Yep.
That's the truth right there.
Yeah.
So
Mama Drew has her hand up, Queen.
I wanted to interject a little bit if I can. Greetings, sisters, Elizabeth.
Greetings.
You,
Hetero.
yes.
Hey, Hetero.
Hey, Mama. It's good to see you all. Be on the road with you all. Yeah, I worked in education for some years, and I had to be mindful about the way and talking about in the different ways that we treat children, being girls and boys. We might be a little harder on boys than we are on the girls. And if they're your children, women tend to be a little harder on their girls than they are on their boys. I don't have a boy, but I'm just saying what I watched. And children, like when I was coming up, my mother kept us busy. she told me we not sitting up in the house all day doing nothing. So we had activities that we went to go to be a part of and witness. You know, maybe going to the theater or going to, you know, the Y and places like that. Just being involved in sports and other activities. But I'm watching with these computers now, with all this technology. You know, the PlayStation becomes a babysitter and a confidant, you know, a friend, if you will. And so then they came. I remember them coming out with this game called Grand Theft Auto, and I figured today I feel like that's what we're living with now. These people are driving like they're in video games, and I'm just saying, at a young age, these children were given these games. They in Grand Theft Auto, you can steal a car, rape a woman. They got. I mean, this is what's happening in the game, and the men are playing it and the children, and they're playing these games together. But how we deal with one another, like you said, when we learn how to, you give a child instruction. I came from the household when my father said get up and do something, you got up right away, and I had a problem with that when I was working in the schools, because the kids are walking slow, but I don't know what they had to go through to get to school in the morning, or what they had to do the night before. So we have to be mindful of all of those things. But my mother's main thing was to keep the children busy, give them something to do, teach them things and skills while they're young, and so they won't be bored and just sitting up when they get older and going through these stages. So I just want to say I appreciate my mother and my father and my community for how they raised and nurtured us. We got to a point where when we were young, everybody was your elder, and nowadays, you can't tell my child what to do. Well, I love this baby is my baby while they in my care, and I'm gonna treat them as I would mine. I
Yeah.
had to break it down to parents. We're not gonna be individual over here. If your child is coming over to my house to play with my baby, then that's my child, and sometimes I kidnap the kids. I don't even give them back. I keep them. But just like a child coming to you with their eating habits, they're eating McDonald's every day because mom is at work at the plant all day. They come over to my house and don't want a vegetable. I said, well, you're going to eat over here. You're going to eat a vegetable over here, and you're going to drink water. Don't bring no pop in my house. Don't bring hot chips and no candy. I don't do candy and kids. So,
You're right.
all of these things affect our children, what they're
Especially.
eating. They're eating these hot chips. They're tearing up their stomachs. I've known teachers with children who had to have surgery. So we have to be in a place of guidance, but did we get the guidance though? There's that. You know, how can you teach if you don't know? When we all had to go through these stages, and they're very important. It's important for children to be children so they can, be great at adulting. It's all learned by when you get there. You don't learn how to be a parent till you get the child. Whew. But it's something out here. It's a different world. It really is. And then after, to me, it seems like uh, philosophy and sense is gone.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
You have brother Alkebulan. You want to share what you were sharing in the chat? Brother Alkebulan.
Yes. Apologize. I'm just getting out of bed, so I don't look my best. But children do not understand time management. If you let them watch TV all day long, they'll watch TV all day long. If you let them play video games all day long, they'll play video games all day long. A parent has to make sure they got a certain time allotted every day to study. For example, if I'm trying to write a manuscript, a book, a song, or whatever, I can't do it with the computer on. I mean, I can't do it with watching television. You just can't do it. You have to say to yourself, I'm gonna put this down until I get this project finished. All adults do that. Everybody online does that. They know if they got a research paper that they have to do, the TV have to cut off. Children are not going to do that. They're going to let that boob tube run until you say stop. So you have to set a specific time of the day and make it a regular thing. Let's say, let me see, they come out of school at 2 o'clock. Let's say 4 to 5 o'clock every day. No, let's say 4 to 5 o'clock every day you could study math, just math, 4 to 5 o'clock, just math, period. And then at another time, you might just study science, period. Once a child has that set in motion, they will know that every day during that time period, this is time for study. And until I finish those assignments, until the parent has checked those assignments and make sure that everything is correct, not until then do you get to watch video games. And then if in the video games or television, I'm sure the parent on this panel is going to monitor those video games and monitor those televisions. But you don't just automatically get to watch television, play video games all day long as you want to. You have to set a time. And whatever time you set, that's yours. But that time is not just for one assignment, it's for math, all those assignments that they have to take. And they got to know that once those assignments are completed, then you can watch TV, then you can go outside, then you can do those things you want to do. So it's all about time management. And a child don't know about time management. Child knows I want to play. So in essence, that's what it is.
Thank you.
Oh, and also, we always say we want a child to get an A. It's not so much about grades, because you can cheat to get an A. You can cheat to get a B, but don't mean you know it. Don't mean you know anything. But start the child where they are. It's not fair to take a person who doesn't know his culture, who's been removed from all aspects of things that he should know about, who has a D, and say, we want you to get an A right now. No, start from a D, then go up to a C. You can see the progress. Then from the C, then go to the B. Then from the B, then go to A. That's the way it should be done.
Yeah, and then brother, you celebrate with them in every, at every step. Not once they get the A, we're gonna celebrate, but every improvement, we need to acknowledge our children and one another when there's some progress happening in their life.
That's important. We don't do that, because I was at school and this teacher had a problem with a young man, and I worked with a young man, and he got an A. And I showed it to the teacher, and he was proud of his A. She said, sit down, thank you. She didn't acknowledge the fact that he had went from an F to an A, and he wanted to receive that from her. So that's what you said is so important.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up, because people do not realize, especially with our children, but with our loved ones, our friends, our family, those acknowledgments are super important. It's like, why did I do all this? And they didn't even notice, but they noticed when I was bad. They noticed when I didn't make it, but they don't say anything about my improvement. And that is so important. Acknowledgement is super important, because people want to be seen and they want to be known, whether they admit that or not. They didn't even see me. They didn't even notice that I was there. I left and they didn't even notice. They're not missing me. I'm not nobody. Well, we have to turn that around, and make sure that everyone is acknowledged. Mama?
I know at our school we had a wall where, I did my best, because everybody doesn't get the A and and all of that, but there's still some children that work their behinds off, even getting to school and being able to be at the school and focus, and being outside of the home where you're made or forced to be the adult in the family. I had a 2-year-old who I kept smelling something on him, and as I'm working with him, I'm like, what's going on? So I took him to the bathroom. I had to get a toothbrush to clean his fingernails out, because he changed a baby's diaper. He's in the second grade. Changed the baby's diaper, and I passed out after I got done with him because I said, where are the adults? Why is the second grader changing the diaper of a child that's had a bowel movement and the stuff is solidified under his fingernails? That's days.
Mm.
And it just hurt me. So we don't know what these children have to go through to get to this building. And that they came to school shows an effort. And then we got to get through what they, what they have to cipher through to be a child. We're dealing with young adults coming into the school in the second and third grade.
Turn your video on, Mama.
I'm fussing.
I
Yeah.
know. We want to see.
But it's just really something to watch. And here I am sitting here like, how come you don't have a place to study in your home? And my friends, the teachers were like, Miss House, they may not have that space. It might be 12 dogs living in the house with them, And I didn't think about that because I thought everybody's house looked like mine.
Yeah.
You gonna sit down at this dining room table. You got your room. There's no TV in there. The TV there was no TV in my living room ever when I grew up, ever. I think we had the televisions in our room, but we could only turn them on at certain times. When we came home from school, you got to change your clothes, get your homework out, get your studying on, and we're going to have lunch, and you're going to take your little self outside and get funky out there because you're not going to sit up under your mama nose all day listening to grown folks' conversation. My mother didn't play that.
That's
Y'all go
right.
find something to do. Go and find something. Then that's when I'm making my mud pies and things. But like your mama was saying, those steps in those places are so crucial. That's why our rites of passage are important. And we don't even know about those.
Right.
It's something. We really got, and I used to tell parents, you should come up here and volunteer. Just come up here and see what's going on and who's in front of your child every day. Because we got some nasty teachers in this mug. Nasty. Where they mad at their situation at home and they're bringing it into the classroom. Talking about keeping stuff perfect. Everybody's carry all their bags. They're carrying all the bags with them. And if the mother is upset with the child and upset with the father, she's going to treat the children foul. You look like your daddy. You didn't think about that while you was getting the groove on. While you all were together, making whoopee and love or whatever you call it, having sex or whatever you want to call it, you were doing. But now this is, you want to talk down about the father. The children are hearing this and they know this.
Yeah.
Mama, put your mic back on. You on?
There
And
you
see,
go.
Merkel said, did I do that? So now we see the work that's needed in our community. We talked about this
You're breaking up, Mama.
like some of this last night. A night we got together and the sister was doing it in a better. and the sister was talking about the history of Detroit.
Yeah.
When you talk about the history, you're talking about the culture. And we have to acknowledge that whatever work needs to be done in our community, these are programs that can be created and can be funded. And if not funded, at least have the opportunity to bring this knowledge and information to that sector of our community that we're discussing. And right now we're discussing parenting, right? So we can't expect them to know, like she just said, we can't expect them to know what they know not. So what are we going to do? The Elizabeths have an opportunity to create programs that people can come to and learn this stuff. But how do you get them out of the house to the program? So maybe that's something, a challenge that we can set for ourselves to come up with something. Because Detroit, I'm telling you, I'm so impressed with Detroit. I'm ready to move to Detroit. I ain't been in no black state, no black city since 1950s. You know, I mean, I'm exaggerating because I was in Harlem for a little while, but and Brooklyn. But generally speaking, we don't exercise, we don't have that kind of power in most of the cities in the US anymore since integration. But Detroit, y'all still tight. I'm really, really, really inspired by Detroit. So you want to get this knowledge to the mothers and to the fathers. We might just be the inspiration to make that happen. And I know Aduni, her brain is clicking now. But there's, or how do you attract them? They like to get the hair done. They like to get the face done. They like to dress cute. All of those things, whatever it takes to get them in, we need to get the conversation started. And it'll catch on just like wildfire. Believe me, it will. We like to say, oh, don't nobody want to know that. Don't nobody want. That's saying I give up on people. We can't give up. Our children and our future demands that we don't give up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I want to make another comment about the video games. As you know, quite a few of the video games started and being made by the Japanese companies, right or wrong. Y'all correct me now. The Japanese companies. And it came to my mind, this is, I know y'all may think this is far out, but what other way could the Japanese get back at America for dropping them two bombs on their people?
Their children don't play video games all day.
They don't play video games all day.
They just left the internet.
Say what?
I said it
What
was
you say?
recent when they didn't let them get the internet. Remember, they were back letting them have internet in a lot of places. I don't know if that might have been Chinese, but their influence, they're very strict with their children. They
Right.
are very.
So I'm saying the Japanese use the video games as a weapon. As a weapon. The Japanese use the video games as a weapon. And we Black people, because we stepped away or was forced to be pushed away from our cultural lifestyle, adapted to these people's lifestyle. They don't have anything to do with what we do. So I mean, let's look at it from the perspective of what something really is. Where did it come from? Why was it pushed on America so hard?
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying? So if that's the case, we are not the people who should be victimized by these games. We did not drop no bomb on Hiroshima or Nagasaki. So let's learn and pass this knowledge on. We've got to turn our people around. This is God's will, not my will. We have to turn our people around and help them out of this. And we got to start with these mothers. Yesterday, I got a video from Kevin Wesley, who's on Facebook. And he showed this sister standing at a counter, and her pants were really tight on her. And of course, her butt was, Black woman booty. So this brother who was in there was looking all at her and trying to say something to her. And her man walked in, and he stood between the brother and his woman's buttocks. And the whole idea was, Kevin said, if you're in a relationship with somebody, should you not dress in a way that's going to make you appealing to your man, not to every man, to your man only? So anyway, these are some of the problems we have too, because the man could have got killed. Somebody could have died. Can y'all still hear me?
Yes.
Yes, mama.
Yes.
Okay. So that's part of the culture too. But the attitude is, nobody tell me how to dress. I ain't dressing like nobody. I was in a class during Black History Month. This little girl couldn't handle it. She jumped up and ran out the class because her grandma told her that Black History mess don't have nothing to do with them. And she got up and ran out the class. The discussion became, I do what I want to do. I'm not following nobody. And I asked the question, everybody who has on Nike, stand up. Everybody who has on, what's the name of that other shoe? Them different shoes that they wear, stand up. I said, so since you're not following nobody, why y'all all got on the same kind of shoes? who you follow. So a lot of things happen because people don't what? Think. They're not thinking. We're being pushed around and imposed upon mentally, spiritually, psychically by the images that we have been placed. We're not raising our children anymore. You don't believe me? Ask a person who's high up in the military and they would tell you these are war games and they're being perpetrated on our children and our young minds. So we mothers have to become the greatest warriors the earth has ever seen, because we raise these boys and those boys become men and they share whatever it is they think.
You're in a bad space right now. You're frozen. Anyone else want to share while we're waiting on her to come back?
Can you hear?
She's still
Say what?
I can hear you, brother.
All right. So I want to add too that boys and girls have been socialized differently in the West. Even though we got European toys, girls had Ken and Barbie dolls. Susan Homemaker said where they got to bake cakes, pies, and cookies. They had doll babies to cry and wear on itself. So girls were prepared for family. Boys were socialized to be soldiers. And Sister said it before she got disrupted, right, about boys. Boys were socialized to be soldiers. We got G.I. Joe, grenades, bow and arrows, rifles, and guns. We were soldiers. We were socialized to be soldiers in their army. So what the sisters and brothers can do is make sure that when brothers are socialized in that manner, that they're not doing it to attack another brother. Let them be socialized to be soldiers in our army. Also, because I've been a foster parent, and since I know that girls have been socialized for family and for marriage. So when a boy and a girl reach the age of majority and girls talking about marriage, the boy don't know what she's talking about, but he had been socialized that way. Everything he's been socialized for was soldiering. So I make sure that when a boy is in my home, he also meets a sister, because that's the dance. You got to have male and female. That's men and women. And that sister, and I would do also make sure that boy knows how to cook. Certain things that were missed in this culture, we make sure that we put it back into the culture. When it comes to sisters, they need to know how to change times. It's not just a man thing. We're talking about survival. You being out there on the road by yourself, at least you should know how to change times. So we as adults and those on this conference call, once you realize what has been missing in the socialization process of boys, and once you realize what's been missing in the socialization process of girls, then we got to replace that which is missing. So every boy that comes to my house knows how to cook, learns how to cook. And also, since women learn nurturing by having doll babies, I'm not gonna buy a boy a doll, but I get him to do volunteer work in the community. He might go to the cancer research center where children have cancer, or he might go to a senior citizen home, so he can know there's somewhere else in the world other than himself. That's all I have to say. You have to realize how we have been socialized. And then what Mama said before she just left, right? She was saying something about boys, and we have to make sure that they are socialized in a manner that's proper, and the sisters as well. And some of the sisters, they get a lot of things. They wonder why boys don't understand. We have been socialized to be robots and soldiers. And I agree with what people say about these games, these video games. They have gone to the far now, they have put the math on to these computers with video games. And I don't know, because I'm not on a computer doing math, but we do know that a lot of things that we could do in our head, we can't do it without a calculator. And calculators are not a computer. We could do math on a scratch sheet of paper. Now we can't do that on a scratch paper. We got to have these computers in order to give us math. So make sure that when children introduce these computers, that they know how to do it, the math problems when they come away from the computer. That's my little tidbit.
Yeah, thank you. Empress? Empress, you want to share?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Shalom, shalom, everyone. Divine Rising, Elizabeth.
Empress,
Yes.
before we get started, it was such a joy for you to come. I knew it took a lot for you to get here, but from the very beginning, you had set your mind that you was going to come to Detroit. You only got here for a few hours and stuff, but we just so appreciate every one of you all who
Yes, we do.
traveled and had to make it happen. Y'all just made it happen. And it puts a extra, it turns up the fire in the Elizabeths that are here to see you all from other places. And I just want y'all to know that it is one of the principles of Elizabeth, and we'll talk about that Friday. It's what happened this weekend. A few of the principles came forth, and I want to share that with you, sisters and brothers, on Friday. So thank you, sweetie. We love you. We wish you were here the next day. People were looking for you, but we had to tell them that you had to go back home. So thank you.
Good, thanks. I'm glad I made it. I got to see you all in person.
Right.
You know, it's different when you see people online, but to see that energy and connect, that all the energy we have connected, and then see you, you know, it was beautiful. Beautiful sisters, beautiful you. Beautiful doing it. Thank you for birthing this Elizabeth. Okay, so I'm not in a position to show my face today. However, I am so divinely grateful again for everybody who I invite on the call, and for you, Mama Ayaba and Sister Hawa, for sharing, bringing this information up about our children. We always say that, we say our children are our future. My thing is that, is it that our children are our future, or are we our children's future? Because if we teach them ignorance, guess what? When we come back, that's exactly what we're gonna get. So we need to be our children's future by starting from the rooted to the tooted, from the beginning to the end. So, you know, I think about the Nation of Islam. When I would go over there to visit, when my uncle, he would invite us, and I just saw the way those children were reared. They reared them, those brothers, from the foundation, from the beginning, from the time they were born. They started them. As soon as they started getting to where they was questioning, asking questions, they literally, excuse me, y'all, they literally start training those boys for preparation from the foundation of being a man. And it was really interesting because my children's father and I, we were counseled. And that's why I was just thinking about all of that, how we were marriage counsel from my uncle. And the way our children respect us now, it's totally different. When I was coming up, I'm 61. So when I was coming up, things were so different. You better not walk past an adult without even acknowledging them. As when the lights came on, the street lights came on. If you live in the city, you better be headed back home. Those street lights on was a warning. And everybody was your mama on the block. Everybody looked out for each other. You walk in that elevator, you better speak. So it's a way we should be reared. Our children should be reared. I just got back finally. Even though I left you all, I didn't get back till, I was so tired. That was a long trip, but I didn't get back till late last night. So I was around a lot of air conditioning. I'm not used to air conditioning. My voice is a little different right now. I'm not used to fan blowing, so excuse my voice, but I'm not sick, give thanks. Just that, just air. But anyway, I'm just saying that, I hope y'all can hear me. That's what I'm saying about my voice. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So anyway, when I was just sharing that, listening to Baba and Caroline, she's like having the survival training camp, teaching our children at the beginning, we learning about like this, like she said, survival, what our sisters should know when we're out and about, especially if we are traveling by ourselves, how to be able to change the oil. It's little simple little things that we as sisters need to know. I totally agree with that. I'm so glad he brought that up. However, now I'm going back to these young men. When I saw the way these young boys was being trained, they were talking about the foundation. They were literally getting them ready, just like you see in the groups, even though we already know all that's not true. But they trained them when they went out. When they got a certain age, they started training them how to get food, how to survive, and what to do. And so when I think about all of that and showing them how to be a man, getting ready for that wife, they started them off early when it came down to preparing them how to buy a house. I mean, it was amazing showing them how to do math, just watching those children like that. You know, being around them. Even when I went into the temple, seeing how even though they separate the young women, the little girls from the little boys, and they had them sit there for so long, the disobedient, just being obedient. There was no disobedience. It was just straight up, yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, you know, no, ma'am. I'm not saying that this is what you always have to do, but I'm just saying that we need to start. All this phone, taking the phone, you can't even have a conversation. Even with an adult, they are doing it now. This journey that I've been on and coming back, I stayed with this sister. And it was just amazing how they were on the computer, on the, what is it called? Xbox or whatever it was. And they were talking through this earphones. And they had it was like about 4 of them on there at the same time for hours. And a lot of people don't know that's how they get into our house. That's how they listen to what's going on in our homes. Even, and that little income, when you have that little, listen to when your baby wake up, same thing. I did some research on that, found out a long time ago, all this stuff is like a CB radio. That's how they listen to how they come into your home. That mirror that look like a great big smartphone, the same thing. So when we, it's like, just like Baba Kabbalah and Mama Ayaba and all of you have been talking about Hawa, we have to have a schedule. If you're going to have this technology, have it set at a set time. So, I don't want to repeat what everybody else said, but you all so much on the money, it's unreal. I couldn't even have a conversation with an adult and sit down at a dinner table this past week without them being on the telephone or being on Facebook or whatever. I'm like, wow, what happened to the conversation here? We supposed to be having a talking instead of me watching you on the phone. So I just want to share that with you. All these kind of things, we need to really look at ourselves. How many of us can actually put that smartphone down? I don't have a smartphone. And I meant not to have a smartphone. I can get a smartphone for 99 cents. My daughter, everybody been trying to give me one, but I'm just saying, I don't want one. I have a flip phone on purpose. So I'm just saying, that we need to be able to acknowledge we have to be our children. So if we doing the same thing they doing and watching television, got to on the phone all the time, guess what? They're going to do the same thing that we do. And we start our children are like sponges. They start off early. And they put the children in front of the television and say, now, how did they get taught? They got taught from the television. So,
Mariette,
they're the babysitters. So I just want to share that with y'all. Thank y'all so much. And I
so
yield.
everyone has made great observations, and everyone has given great suggestions on how to turn this around. And it's a matter of commitment. It's a matter of structuring the process among ourselves, not necessarily just the Elizabeth, but among ourselves to bring about a change. It's like you can't advertise this. You can't promote it in the papers, in the newspapers. It's our culture that we're talking about returning to, or bringing it back to our different families. It's not going to be an easy process, and it's not going to be short and quick. We didn't get here short and quick. This process of changing and altering the way we live has been coming into being since the end of World War II. The program was established in 1955. I'm not going into all of that, but we need to take a look at it, decide if we want to do some. I know I do. I want to do some rites of passage programs, not just for children, but for families. What's the point of teaching the children if when they go home, their parents are still acting crazy?
Yep.
So this has to be a rites of passage training by family. And brother, we sure do need brothers like your person. We've got to have brothers, brother to brother, rites of passage and involvement. We need it. We got to do this to save our children. They are training our children to go to jail. They're training our children to go to the service, armed forces. They're training our children to kill each other. As Howard just said, to self-destruct. We can't stand by any longer and talk about this and watch it happen. The reason I brought this 12 major tests of life to the forefront is for you to know that there is a process to raising children. There's a process to living our lifestyle. There's a process to becoming the village. Isn't that what Hillary Clinton of all people said? It takes a village to raise a child. I've been practicing this African culture since 1970. I've cried. I have thought. I wonder what is wrong with our people. Why don't they want to embrace this? This is us. And it doesn't have to be from Africa. It could be Native American. It could be Islam. It could be whatever it takes to bring us into the knowledge of self, as Elijah Muhammad always said. All these things about eating health foods and being healthy and diet and nutrition, that came to us from Elijah Muhammad. That did not come to us from the other people. Yeah, given that I used to read Back to Eden, but Elijah Muhammad also recommended Back to Eden. So we have got to understand or overstand the Rastafarians that I stayed with in Jamaica, the same thing. They eat from the land. So we've got to really look into our own hearts and our own minds and decide, what am I going to do about this? Okay. Time is moving forward. It's 9:23.
Mama Heather Rue has her hand up.
Okay, Mama Heather Rue, speak now or forever hold your peace.
I think we already covered it. You know, it is time. We know what the challenges are. It's time to make about the solutions and the movement. You know, that's why one of the number one reasons why I do the movement is because we need to connect back to our bodies. We're not connected to our bodies, and that's why I push the movement revolution. It's important to connect back to our bodies and our minds because we everything is outside of us. We look for our spiritual love or lessons outside of ourselves when we have everything that we need. And if we don't have everything we need, we got the resource to get what we need. And we're so outside of ourselves for everything when we need to focus and look back inside. You can't be a good parent or a good human if you don't even have a connection with yourself to make sure that your body is functioning properly and listening and reading it, So we got to
Well,
start
see,
there.
you know that, but the
That's why I
process
want to
has to
share
be a
that.
curriculum. The process has to come from a methodology. Like you know that,
Right,
and
right.
you are personally committed to doing it. You understand the mathematics of it, the process, 1 + 1 is 2. But what about the people who don't have that? Every
That's
that
why I'm sharing it. I
so
share it on my social media. Use
okay,
it as
that's
a
wonderful
tool.
too. That's awesome. But we don't have a check and balance. With the rites of passage program, you have a check and balance. People can
Hmm.
have hands on. When we talk to them about diet and nutrition, well, you should eat this, you eat that, and you can use this recipe, and you can do that. But what about when we have rice pass program and you have to cook that food and you got to serve it the proper way? Remember, I talked to y'all a long time ago about serving and
Eti-
receiving.
Etiquette and that whatnot.
You see, all of these things.
To cultivate the future, we have to cultivate ourselves first. You have to look at these children. They are our future. How do you want to live? In the future. Starts with you.
I like what the sister said about we are their future because how we raise them is the future that we create. And if we do understand the science of reincarnation, we're coming back to the future there. So what do we want to see? How do we want to live 50 years from now, 100 years from now? I know for a fact in advance. They're not looking at 5 years, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. They're looking at 100 years, and they call their grandchildren in to prepare them to take their place.
So who do you want taking care of you?
So this, if we're going to do this, then every one of us has to be trained in the rites of passage process. I'm not saying in the rites of passage culture of this one, that one, or the other one. I'm saying the process. Children know. Children have to know. Women have to know. Men have to know. Just like the brother said, what is my role? What is my duty? What is my responsibility? How do I see it? What does it look like? We can talk about it, and I can share with you all of the training that I've had. What could that gonna do you? Unless I bring it to you, unless somebody brings it. You know what I'm saying? I plan to have a couple of priestesses to come on, but that's not going to teach us how to do it. That's going to show us how it's done. But we have to set up programs all over this country to bring this into reality. And it doesn't have to be no big announcement and all that stuff like people like to do. I don't believe in that. Because as soon as you let somebody know what you're going to do, you set yourself up for it to be cut down and removed. We're not doing that. We're wonderful mothers and fathers here, and we're just talking to our friends and family.
Right. I know I work with the young lady that lives next door to me. She grew up in a different manner. So the best thing for me is to be the example and to share with her, when her son acts out of out of alignment for what, is, what, being disrespectful to her, I tell him, I said, and this is comforting because she doesn't get upset because she usually get, when you tell somebody about their child, they tend to get a little offensive or whatever. So what I tell him, I said, I don't like the way you treating my friend. And that way she won't get mad at me. You
Right.
gotta code it in such a way where she will receive it as well. But I'll tell David in a minute. Like my flowers, he steps on my flowers, and when she got flowers, I said, "I'm gonna step on your flowers like you stepped on mine." He said, "Mama, head, don't do that. Those are my mother's flowers." I said, "I feel the same way about mine, David."
Mm-hmm.
You walk
Okay,
around here.
that's wonderful. That's you're teaching. You're being the
And then in the
example and
neighborhood,
teach.
right? They drop. Pardon me, Mama. Let me just get done. And then when I see trash and stuff outside, I say, "Hey, this is our neighborhood. Let's keep our neighborhood clean." So I noticed that the kid, I know it's your chip bags and stuff. So when I go out to the big yard out there, I say, "Y'all come on out here and help Mama Head pick up this trash." And they just come along and help. Half
Well,
of it's yours, but
imagine. I'm referring back to the brother who spoke too.
okay.
Imagine a process, a program where you got 50 to 100 little young brothers being trained by 10, 20 brothers who know what they're talking about. Then when they come home, they ain't bringing you no heartache because they know they got to answer to those brothers or sisters, adults as well as children are learning and being trained also under the one umbrella with one another. When I went through rite of passage with the Yoruba people, we had to make our own clothes, not by no sewing machine. We had to make it by hand, needle and thread. We didn't have any idea what that was going to teach us, but we learned about patience. We learned about forgiving ourselves when we make mistakes. We learned to
Appreciation.
appreciate, yeah, a whole lot of stuff. So that's why I'm saying, since we are talking about this, and every one of you have brought up the things that we know that's not working right in our communities, and we all know how it got there. So we all have to know, go within our own private minds and be committed to whatever process we want to use in the community where you already are, and you already doing it on that one-on-one method, sister. But suppose it was 20 on one. Suppose it was 50 on one. Marcus Garvey said, teach 10 and teach those 10 to teach 10. So that's 100 right there. Then teach those 10 to teach 10 more. How many is that? That's 1,000. You see how quickly we can learn? So anyway, I'm just saying, think about it. And the Queen of the Elizabeths can let us know how she feels. Shall I continue? Queen Aduni, shall we continue?
Yeah.
All right, age 35. God will test you in the profession you have been working on or jiving it for the past 7 years. If you survive the obstacles now rising in your path, you will have proven your worth to yourself and your colleagues. This is a test since it is an assessment of your work and personal development. Many people have to make up their mind whether to forge ahead from this point or change directions altogether. Now, I want to break to this. What happened? He was sent for 25 years, and he shouldn't have been there for 3 because it was self-defense. But he didn't know what to say. He opened his mouth, said the wrong thing in the courtroom. He said, I don't know. And the judge was trying to prompt him to say, yes, I was scared that man was going to kill me. But he didn't say that. He said, I don't know. We need training in that area too. What you should and should not say when you go in the courtroom.
Yeah.
But the point I want to bring up here is that from those years until now, he missed that cycle. A lot of our brothers are missing these cycles because they're in jail working on his profession. What profession they gonna have in jail? When he gets out,
he's starting all over. Even though he's a man, he's still starting all over because he had missed certain cycles in life to achieve, to get to be that man.
yes, they're starting all over. And guess where they're starting? Or what age they're starting over at? The age they went into jail.
That's right.
They're not starting over the age that they are.
So we have this man body that's released from jail to know and do what? He's lost.
See? Now, anybody else want to comment on that there? All right, let's go to age 42. And I want to say that at age 27, at 28, that's called your minor test or your minor karma or your minor square. At age 42, that's your major square. So if you didn't pick up from 27 to 42, how to honor your ancestors, how to be respectful and be an elder, how to build your business and promote your life as a mature adult, you're going to be hit with a major square. That major square can end up with you being dead or in prison or lost your family or your wife that walked out on you, all kinds of stuff. And if you look back over people that you know, check out what happened with them between 27, 28, 29, up to age 33. When if you know people that's 42 or older, between 42 and 47, and see what happened to them. And you're gonna go, wow, I know I did. I went, dang. Things that I'm sharing with you all, it's not superstition. This is science forever. And then these other people show up and cut into it. And next thing you know, there's a wall between you and your ancestors, and you don't know certain things that you need to know. So let's move on. For by the time you hit 42, you should be well integrated, and tests will arise in them. Maladjustment to them or failure to understand or respect them can produce direct oppositions, which can wreck your life and leave you in a state of bewilderment. Like the brothers who come out of jail. My nephew, he's bewildered. He wants to move forward in his dream that he had before he went there, but he doesn't know. He's stuck in the past. Harmonious integration, on the other hand, can raise you to spectacular success if you are willing to put forth effort. But failure at this period results in a war of attrition for the rest of your life, unless relieved by special blessings from God. Next, the test that you encounter at 42 will begin to accrue with the command or national test around 49. This is when your nation or community acclaims you and places vital high ideals for you to measure up to, or either completely ignores you and benefits you expect from it are overlooked or denied you. Sister Mama Aduni, I understand you're getting an award. Getting an award? You're gonna tell us what that award is for?
And when music. It's in music. Hold on a second. Because I just got an invite. So I don't even let's see. It's proud. The Detroit Black Music Awards Committee is proud to inform you you will be presented with a special tribute award from the committee at the annual awards show. It does not say what it's for in particular, but what I'm known for is being the tambourine queen. So I guess it's around that. Got to be around percussion. I didn't sing that much this year, so. But that's what I'm known for, percussion.
All right, let me ask you another question.
Okay.
What were you doing around age 42?
Oh man, I gotta really count back.
Your business, were you doing your hair business then?
Oh yes,
Okay, so you fall right in line with the cycles. Your business was established.
Yeah.
By the time you were 42, and that's what it says. See, the test that you encounter at 42 will begin to accrue with the communal or national test around 49. So either your community are going to totally ignore you, or they're going to award you for your work, your benefits. And some of us may be delayed and late in other of these cycles. You know what I mean? I got a slew of awards at age 55. I was past 42. See? But the universe is going to make these things catch up with you sooner or later, because we have the opportunity to work through the cycles that we missed, even though we're coming up late. For example, I don't think children should start school at 5. I think the United States of America holds people back. I started teaching children in my house when I did homeschooling at 3 years old. At 3 years old, they were learning algebra by using crayons. 2 reds on this side, balance out 2 oranges on that side. I mean, it's at age 56, that same world events begin. Oh, wait a minute, sorry. It is at 56 that some world events begin to intrude and condition your life. Your previous condition will determine your ability to overcome or flounder. Once again, going back to the brothers who go to prison and get out, and when they hit in their late 50s, and they talking about these brothers aren't productive in a society. The lioness is here. Okay, it's at 56. What are you doing?
What is that? Who and what is that? Oh, that's
Who is that? Who?
Mute your mic, please.
King, I'm muted.
At 56 is that some world events begin to interlude and condition your life. Your previous condition will determine your ability to overcome or flounder. At 63, tests and challenges to your health arise. This is a constitutional test. At 70, there comes a test of your wisdom and judgment. The world is by now greatly changed from what it was when you started out. The task is to determine how you will relate to these vast changes. At 77 years, the test is whether your mental faculties are sound or not. For even the wise head is subject to the physical laws which are weighing against the brain and its purely physical functions. This is the sanity test to determine whether for the next 7 years your faculties remain intact. At 84, the death test will come. In one form or another, death will approach you. If you pass this one, even though you failed or got knocked down by all the others, somebody somewhere will acclaim you. For beyond this point, you become impervious to any further tests. The taskmaster God graduates you and becomes your friend. And that's the end of it. Any comments? Any questions?
Mama, I wanted to ask, are these things that Sister Cress Welsing talked about in the ISIS papers? I know she focused on racism and whatnot, but does she address, I haven't read the book, but does she address these types of topics in her book, the ISIS papers?
But not in this form, because this came from the African Cultural Society of the Yoruba people. But she does, but not in the same format. Remember, she did an analysis of the white race as a human being, or the United States as a human being, and she analyzed them from the brain down to the toenails. Their psychosis, and at different ages, how it expressed. I shouldn't say need to read, but I recommend that everybody read it. She's left this world now, and they found her. She was living in DC, and they found her behind the door in her bedroom. Like, I think she probably either had a heart attack or a stroke. And she had been fighting the Jewish because she needed that quiet time, and the kids would come out on the playground and make all the noise that they want to make. And she was trying to get them to at least cooperate and either put a fence up, a sound wall up, or something, so that she could, live in peace. It was her house.
Right.
So we do not know the stress and the constraints that our leaders and people who sacrifice their lives, like Dr. Ben, Dr. Clark, Ashra, Kwesi. Oh my God, there's just so many of them. And
Right.
that's part of the rites of passage training. If we decide we'll go forward with the rites of passage training, part of it is to listen to these people and take notes while they still got it on YouTube and those places. They are this on YouTube talking the talk that they talk, missing some very important parts of it. And that's the cultural part. When you leave out the cultural part, you leave out God, not about religion. It's about understanding that the very breath you breathe, the food you eat, the water you drink is God itself. You are God itself. You understand me? That don't mean you walk around and say, well, I'm God, I'm God. I can turn fire into water.
And God is not ego.
God is not what?
Ego.
Ego. God is not ego, she said.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just a lot to learn. But what else you got to do? What else do we as a people have to do with our lives? We spend hours, like the brother said, in front of the computer, in front of the television. What else do you have to do? You can take one day of the week and study this stuff, and it'll change your life, your whole life. I love y'all, and I ain't gonna try to keep y'all on here forever. I want to give everybody an opportunity to share. Anyone else?
Well, in my experience, I've come to the conclusion that we have to take care of the earth and take care of one another. We're only responsible for ourselves, but we have to take care of each other. I think in some way, and take care of the earth.
I agree. I was talking to a sister last night, I think, and it was the earth is the Lord and the fullness thereof. And I asked her, where's the earth? See, people like to refer to the earth as the little ball we walking on.
It's
But you
not
the earth. You have
right. It's
all
not
100,
separate.
you have all those 137 elements, if they're not more by now, in the table of elements in your body.
Mhm.
That's what makes you the earth.
Yes,
You know what I'm saying? The oil that's in the earth is the blood that's in your veins.
that's right.
So the water that's in your blood is the same pH water that's in the ocean.
Hmm.
What you say? Oh, so more knowledge. What the book say? Get my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. It didn't say for lack of faith in God. It didn't say for not believing in Jesus. It didn't say for not calling on the name of Allah. It said for lack of knowledge. Now, I'm not saying that that book is the be all and the end all, but I'm saying that where truth is, lies cannot stand. So if truth is in that book, then deal with the truth. If the truth is in the Quran, deal with the truth. The truth is in the book of the coming forth by day and by night that the white man mistakenly called the book of the dead, then deal with it. If the truth is in the speeches and the talks of Round Neff Amen on the videos on YouTube, or Dr. Clark, or Dr. Ben, or Dr. Cress Wells, if that's where it is, go there and drink deep. Drink so you cannot be thirsty anymore for the knowledge.
Mm.
And going back to Hosea 4:10 or 4:6, it says, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. And because you turned away from, and everybody says God. When I say fill in the blank, I know not no person said the right word. And that's not an admonishment. I'm just saying we have not been reading it ourselves. Because you turned away from knowledge, You will be no priest unto me. And what is a priest? The priest is one who serves and teaches the people. You can't serve and teach nobody if you don't know nothing. So because you turned away from knowledge, you will be no priest unto me, and I will turn away from who? Your children. And I ask the people when I'm speaking in a group situation, is that a merciful God? Is that a loving God to you? And they don't know what to say because they're scared to say, well, no. And they don't know whether they should say yes. But of course, that's a loving energy. Because if you don't learn nothing, what you going to teach your children?
Nothing.
See, so that's why we need to study. That's what the Bible says. Study to show yourself approved, not before people. Most people are, including preachers, so-called. Preacher is another word for teacher. You see, when they do the story of Yeshua, what they call Jesus, when they do that story, they say he was a great teacher, not a great preacher. So if you get this knowledge, you're not getting it for people. You don't have your PhDs and your bachelors of arts and science and all those things for people. It says, study to show yourself approved before God. And what did the deluder say? The one who has filled our lives with delusion and deception. He said, get that PhD, get that Bachelor of Arts and Science degree so you can get a better job.
Job.
Yeah.
Life.
Just over broke. That's what job means. Just over broke. In Nigeria, they have a place called Ile Ife. When you put them together, you have the word life. Life. Steve Biko said, we have solved more problems. Telling to the white man, we have solved more problems than you have questions to ask. How do you all know the things that you know? It's coming down through you from your ancestors, through your bloodline. Who's the one that said right on? We said right on. Right on what? Right on time. Right on in the way you talk. What was that you said last night? We talked about right on. I can't even remember. We said, what was think of some of the slogans that they call slang in our community. Anybody? Right on. What's up? What's up? What's up? Yeah, what is up? You know,
Show you
what's
right.
happening?
Show you right.
Show you right. That was it. Show you right. That was the one. Show you right. Now check that. Show you right. Show you are right, or show you is the one that's right. You can break that down 100 different ways. Show you right. You're saying sure you are right, but you don't say sure. You say show. Show you right. Show the world that you're right. The world already knows that you're right. All the dances, all the different styles of music, all the way, well, it used to be fashion, but now we take our fashion cues from the crazy people. But we used to be the person, the group of people that everybody modeled their music and their fashions and all that stuff from. I don't know if you know this, but reggae music is not all Jamaican music. Reggae music, according to Bob Marley and Peter Tosh and them, was influenced rhythm and blues from right here in the US of A. They used to play a music called ska. Then they had more rhythm and blues coming in Jamaica after they stopped playing it over here. And they blended the ska with the rhythm and the feeling of the rhythm and blues, and that is reggae music.
Right. I remember reading about Fela Kuti, and he was influenced by James Brown and other funk and jazz greats, and that was his music. But
Yes,
his music had a
it's people on
message.
earth.
He wasn't just singing to be singing and making noise. He had a message. He was teaching, just like Bob Marley. They
Right.
were teaching. It wasn't just like we have our hip. No, hip hop was more
And
teaching than, and rap is just
remember
mess.
those times, huh?
I was just talking about the
Hip
difference
hop
between
came,
hip hop and rap. Hip hop was telling stories of experiences, and rap is just garbage
because
to send people to jail, send them to these private prisons. They said we're gonna use your music.
and
They
rap,
called a meeting of the rap stars. Yeah.
yeah, I remember that. Yeah. And they also changed, told them if they want to make money, they got to put more things in it about sex and curse words and all that kind of business. Nothing is happening because we created it out of our own spirituality. These things are happening because those things we have created out of our spirituality, the others have directed. Hey, ain't nobody got no time for that. Just like Tyler Perry, a lone black man, went out there and slept in a car and decided he would focus his work on the churches and took his place to the churches. The black community built Tyler Perry, not white folks. That's what everybody could do. We don't have to go to those other people for that. And, you know, excuse me, for those of y'all who might think I'm not talking positive. But my great granddaddy was a white man. So I'm not saying it because I don't like them. I don't dislike anybody because I didn't make them. But I don't like your ways. I don't like what you're doing.
To overstand them is to know them.
To overstand them is to know them, Sister Hawa said. So you got the last poets. We have to give homage to the last poets. The last poets stepped out here with courage and grace like nobody ever heard before. You know, we had other poets before them that was in the 20s, the 30s, and the 40s. What that man name? Paul Laurence Dunbar. Paul Laurence Dunbar wrote in what the white boy called dialect. He just wrote in the way black people was talking. And he didn't spell Lord, Lord. He spelled Lord, Lawd'. He was
Lord.
giving messages. The messages have been out there for us all the time. You know. So yeah, let's get it on. I love the last poets. I knew them personally. And I think Piamba brother was one of the last poets. They put it out there. They said when it comes time for the end, and when it comes time for the end, the men will look like the women, and the women like men, and they will dance as though they were in a trance. They said that. That's their word. They put it out there. You know, so for my person, I ain't surprised there's nothing that's going down.
Right. Gil Scott
They,
Heron was another. Gil Scott Heron was another prolific.
yeah, he was another one. You want to quote him? He said, the revolution will not be televised. And it won't be because it's going to take place in our minds. Right. And we can do this. We can do this. You know?
I remember also. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just going to share that I remember reading about how when we were playing records, the coal that the records were made from and the diamond was a positive influence on the melanin and the vitamin D of I think it was the melanin was activated with the diamond crust from the needle touching the record, the coal of the record. And so then we saw records change to vinyl and plastic. And then with these megahertz, they changed the megahertz to the music. And now that frequency, they're using, like they call this music trap music, because they're using the tribal beats to get you, because you might not like the lyrics, but you find your body moving to the music. And I don't like that kind of music because of what it turns. My husband said you'll find a businesswoman to come into a club with a suit on and all sophisticated, and they put on certain music, honey, she out there humping on the floor with her suit on.
Right on, sis.
But the word is trap. What is
exactly?
Well, I want to add to that and share with you all that back in the 1970s, when so much knowledge and information was being circulated throughout the Black community on what was happening with us and the attack that's on us as a community, they upped the ante on the attack when they introduced the video games. Remember, they used to have what they used to call it. It's a place you went to play the video game.
Video,
The arcade.
arcade.
Look what they did. I mean, we don't even know when we're being attacked, programmed, et cetera, et cetera. So when the Last Poets came out with their work, and then the other people were influenced and came out with their work, and the record industry saw what the influence and the power that it had on our people. I'm telling you, they decided, bam, we can't let this happen. We can't let this be spread because these people are gonna get too much power. So we have to overstand. Come on, people, wake up. When you're being killed like this and you're causing others to kill one another, that ain't natural. So somebody is calling the shots and we are responding. So we got to stop that. Just let it go. Let them have their little thing while we build our community back up. And Detroit, I have to say, I ain't been nowhere like Detroit since 1955. So I don't know other states in the country that's like Detroit that still got a majority of all of us African, Native American, natural descendant Aboriginal people still intact with each other. I know you're under attack. I know it's not just
on the outside
just happening. But I really, really think that I'm telling you, I don't even have words. At the festival, they said people over 75, and I stood up and they brought me 2 roses. So they gave roses out to people. So, you know, they made you feel good. All the elders in the group, they gave all us roses. And I said, ooh, I hope they called my number. I hope they called my number. Because they were starting like 55, 65. I said, hey, they may not even get to my number. No, they started, 109 or something. They worked that way down. Yeah, they started with 100. So, yeah, so yo, Elizabeth got a red and a white rose. Shango spoke that day.
Yeah.
Aduni.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Yeah.
Anybody else want to speak before we close out? I didn't know I was going to have
Yeah, I'll say something.
Yes, sir.
I was a foster parent for 13 years because they had a lot of white children in foster care, and no one was taking the Black children, and then they sent them off to white parents. So since I knew my culture, I said, I better step up to the plate, right? Some things don't have to be, sometimes you learn in the hood. When you grew up in the hood, when you came to your house, you had to say, you had to respect your elders. When I come in from origin speak, like I said, I get permission from the elders before I speak. Even if I'm 80 years old, if someone's 90 years old, I gotta get permission from that person before I speak. We learned that as a child. This is something I started my home that I learned from my parents, right? My mother did all the discipline because my daddy was a truck driver. He was on the road at the time. So I don't recall my father putting his hands on me. Or if you ask my siblings who we feared the most, and I don't mean to use that word in a negative manner, right? Right. Yeah. It was my father. And the question is, why is that? If my mother did all the spanking, right? Somewhere in our subconscious mind, we knew when daddy said something, he was gonna say it for one time, and that was it. Yeah. So as a foster parent, I've always had the 17, 18-year-olds. The organization loved me because everyone had young children who they could nurture at a very young age. I had the 17, 18 years old. And this is what I do. Every foster parent had on their refrigerator 10 rules you had to follow. I had 10 rules, 10 or 12 rules. I said, all you have to do is remember the first 2. Rule number 1, a Kevlar does not repeat himself. Rule number 2, please don't forget rule number 1. So you're 18 years old and I said, do something. I need you to do it because I don't want for you to get struck up in drugs and you end up dead because you didn't listen to me. You had to listen to me the first time. Whatever the consequence is going to be, it don't have to be physical. It could be not going outside to play or whatever, right? You got to stick to it because once a child realizes you're not going to hold your ground, they're going to try you. And also, you got to make sure the in-laws and the aunts, everybody has to know the same program because a child knows they can't get away with stuff in your house. When he goes to auntie's house, he gonna try to pull it off over Auntie's house. Auntie got to know that, wait a minute, the rules were already set at my house. And so don't go over there, and church will put parents against parents. Let's say Ayaba said, you can't go outside, right? And the daddy will come home and say, why are you sitting around the house? Mama said, I can't go outside. Go on outside. But now child know y'all not on the same page.
Right. That's right.
So when I set a rule, I make sure the teachers on the same page, the in-laws on the same page, the cousins, everybody's on the like at my hood. When I grew up in church here, everybody in my neighborhood knew I had to be in the house when street lights came on. Everybody knew that. Street lights came on 6 o'clock. If 7 o'clock I was outside, everybody knew that. Everybody knew it. Boy, you better get on in the house.
I want to see your face.
You better get on in the house. So say it one time and back it up, or you gonna lose that child.
Mm.
Well,
Brother, can you show us your face at least once so we know who we're talking to?
Man, you could have. I wanted to see you when you was expressing yourself.
I didn't
like
change
that.
since last week.
Yeah.
There you go. Thank you.
I changed since last week. Something wrong.
There, brother.
Looking good. Looking good, Bob.
Well, to the sister who had the 11-year-old grandson,
That's
I know
Mama
you said,
Evelyn.
Mama Evelyn, that was some good advice he just gave us, right?
Yeah.
Get it.
Yeah.
I was at church one day. And the girl, they told the preacher, right, said, I can't control my 10-year-old son. And preacher said, wait a minute. You got the roof over his head. You control the food. You control everything in the household, and you can't control. He said, you the one to talk to, not the 10-year-old. So I apologize. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead, sister.
No, that's okay. No, it's just, I just have to stand by my word. I understand what you're saying, and I just have to be firm in my word, because sometimes, not sometimes, most time his mother goes back on, she doesn't follow through, and it's like I get a little.
Maybe you need to put that notice on the refrigerator too. I don't say it twice. And the other people come in your house, they can read what you got.
My friend has a sign up. My friend has a sign up in her house that says, "You heard me the first time." Like, don't let me repeat myself.
So use whatever you got. Don't worry about that, mama. You the grand. There's a reason why they call us grand mamas.
The word grand, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, it's 10 o'clock, 10:01. And we have been riding. What cities did we go through, or what areas are we in with you all riding?
So we finally made it to Indianapolis. No, we're in Fort Wayne. We have about an hour to go. We done been through Toledo. Yeah, different parts of Ohio, Toledo.
Yeah.
Now we're in Fort Wayne. We got another hour before we're in Indianapolis.
What freeway you on, Mama? 94? Where you on? 94?
You know what? Due to constructions, I'm everywhere. Right now I made it. I'm on 69.
Okay.
But hey, it was an adventure for me because by habit, I have my routes. It done took me everywhere. So I'm just riding and following the sign. Turn left. Okay, I'm gonna turn left. Go this way. I'm gonna go that way. GPS is in control.
We have another guest. Now I might say this wrong. Say, sweetie, introduce.
Unmute yourself.
Peace and blessings, everybody. Yes, it's Ya Ametia Oshumbumi Aswili. How is everybody today?
I'm saved. We're fine. Glad to have you.
And who invited you?
Yeah, I give thanks for being here. Empress Kamari Anku Atasa.
Yes.
Invited me. And my prince, come here, you want to say hi? Oh, he doesn't. No. So yeah, we're home. We're detoxing. We're trying to feel better, y'all. So send us some good vibes. But happy to catch the tail end of everything. Happy to be here.
Where my
Okay,
grandbaby?
What's your baby's
Get
name?
on there. My
Yes,
grandbaby, the one get on there.
Celine Saliu, yeah. And you know when they're not feeling well, you give them some grace. So
Oh,
usually
Hi,
I
Lord.
would,
baby. Hi, sweetheart.
yeah, he's over there drumming now.
All
Doing
right.
How old is
yeah,
he?
3.
Okay.
Yeah, he's 3.
You're welcome. Thanks for joining us.
come again.
We're
I hear
here
him. I hear him drumming.
every day, Monday through Friday. And of course, Mama Ayaba and Awa's day is on Wednesday, of which you're here today. So happy Wednesday. And every day, Monday through Friday, from 8 to 10, we are here with different subjects, different hosts, and different moments. So thank you, and thank everybody for joining us.
Congratulations to you.
Thank you.
And we'll be
Congratulations. Yes.
Well, I'll let y'all know what it was about.
Okay.
I mean, what the official, I'll show you the certificate or whatever I end up getting. I appreciate my peers at recognizing the work that I do, because I do beat my meat. When I'm playing, I zone in, and I had to start wearing these bangles on my arms, because when I'm playing and I get crazy, I'm hitting. So I had to protect my arm by putting that. So I hit that instead. And
But we're gonna have to play tambourine together one day.
yeah.
I had to play tambourine because I didn't have no band. So we ended up getting some African drummers and playing that tambourine.
Yeah, the drummers, when the African drummers come, they don't too much bring out, they'll bring the shaker ray out, but they don't bring out that tambourine, and the tambourine be jamming,
Right. They have some of them have the tin I don't know what it's called, but it's a tin flat piece with the rings on it. So that's kind of like and when you hit the drum, they ring, but it ain't the same. But it's kind of like the evolution of the instrument, if you will.
Yes. So yeah.
next Wednesday.
It's all wonderful.
But congratulations. What day does it take place?
August, I think the 11th. Now that I'm thinking about it.
Good number. That's a good number.
No, August the 7th.
Okay, 7. Okay.
On Sunday, August the 7th, the 13th annual. And
13. 7, they're the mysteries of life.
Yeah. So, oh my gosh.
We're gonna come back to the chakras next week.
Okay.
We're coming back to the chakras. We're gonna finish up the red or the root chakra, and we're gonna move into the Saraswati or the solar.
I thought we were doing the sacral first, Mama. Don't forget the orange. Don't leave out the orange.
Sacral. We're doing the sacral next week.
Yeah. That's me. I'm the sacral chakra.
Okay.
All right, you guys.
All right, peace and love, everyone.
It was good meeting everybody.
Put yourself on gallery so you can see everybody.
Hey, Lolly.
Hey.
Shalom, it's good seeing you again.
You too.
All right.
Shalom.
Next time I
give
come up
there,
and give the world some love. Love to the world.
What the world needs now, love, sweet love.
Everybody.
Everybody needs love, sweet love.
Oh, let me see. Hold on. Let me see if I can create something crazy right quick. Oh, wait. This will be
King Dawu has said nothing today.
He made some noise. He made some noise, but he didn't say nothing.
Yeah, right. We had to mute him.
You all right out there, Baba? You all right?
Shalom.
How about that?
Oh,
Oh,
there's
beautiful.
not really. Oh no, that's a picture. Oh, there are the pictures.
What is this?
Not
You
really.
gotta take it off mute, Mama. Hit that volume button.
I think I'm. Oh, got it. Thank you. What is that?
This is the play, the music from last
It
night.
hasn't caught up yet. There it is.
Okay.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
Oh, y'all.
That's country woman. Oh, oh. Okay. Howard wants to know, is there a link where she can look at it again later? Sound like a bass. Ain't no bass. Ain't nobody playing no
All right. All right.
Right. Oh, shalom.
All right, ladies. Oh boy, we caught a lot of stuff. We got more coming at you, more pictures coming at you.
Sister wants to know, is there a place she can go and listen to the music or see the
Well,
videos?
I will have to upload it. You know what? I'm gonna put it in the group though.
Okay.
I'll put it in the group. I will text y'all when it's up.
All right.
I want to
All
see the
right. Y'all have a continue to have a beautiful day.
send the
Yep,
pictures
you
from
guys
where we
be
took up
safe.
there too. I'm gonna send it to you. All right. Peace and love, y'all.
Peace and
Peace and
love.
love.
Shalom.